Exploration Africa presents The African Divide. Featuring moderator Twanda Black of Tampa, Florida, Atlanta's own KISS 104.1 FM Public Affairs Director, Reverend Dr. William B.G.K. Harris, Pastor, International Christian Fellowship of Monrovia, Liberia. Dr. Babs Onabanjo, Founder, President, A.D. King Foundation of Lagos, Nigeria. Author Muthoni Garland of Nairobi, Kenya, of Story Moja. Elder Sa Yancier, political civil rights activist of Monrovia, Liberia. El Haji Bey, civil engineer of Dakar, Senegal.
Now, we're going to start with our first question. And Ikwa built these questions around what she felt like the issues were. The first issue is what caused the separation of people of African descent. She has on here imperialism, the myth, Africans selling their own, the fight against imperialists, warfare among the tribes, kidnapped by force, greed. So who wants to address that question first? Dr. Babs, you're smiling. I know you got it.
Yes. Very good question. And first of all, let me say that we have to go back to history. There are facts and there are myths. Let's set aside the facts from the myth. Yes, Africans were sold into slavery, and there are so many reasons and so many facts about that. First of all, as Africans, we're very hospitable and we welcome strangers into our midst and accept them as one of us. And some of them took advantage of that situation. Secondly, Africans like to train their children, and so they assign them to what you call apprentice, so that they can be trained and get the best training possible. And some of these people that were entrusted into the hands of the children took advantage of that as well. Of course, there's also a fact that there were wars, and when prisoners were captured, they were sold and traded like commodities. So these are all different facts. However, it saddens me when I hear the fact that Africans sold their brothers and sisters into slavery without redefining exactly, explaining the circumstances. I always say that my African brothers here and sisters are also part of us. And we have to begin to break away from this myth, from this mindset, that because of this that happened in the past, we are divided indefinitely. I don't think that should be true, because definitely we need to learn from that, and we need to move forward, because we're one people, we're one blood. And so by uniting together, we can do common good than dividing ourselves. A house divided against itself will not stand. And so I come from that point of view.
Would anybody else like to address the separation? Go ahead.
There's no doubt that we have a painful history. But in today's terms, why there's still a divide between the communities? Well, I can speak from personal experiences that for the Africans, the first comers, when they first arrive in the United States, sometimes they have, I would say, unpleasant experiences. And when that happens, some Africans tend to basically regroup, and they isolate themselves, and they choose to only socialize with other African people, which is a mistake, because in every nation, you'll find good people and bad people. You find people who are educated and people who are not educated. And it's a matter of giving it a chance, giving it a try, and learning the language, obviously, communicating with people, sharing experiences, and learning from each other. The way I look at the diaspora is that we have to embrace that difference. We're all different. As Africans, we look at black people and we have a wide array of shades, a wide array of languages, a wide array of experiences. And that diversity is our wealth. So the key to helping reduce that divide is to increase communication between different groups, basically, different black groups. And the same goes also for African American. I know a lot of African American have some bad experiences with Africans in different ways. Whether it's when you go to the braiding salon and the customer service is not really up to par as it should be. We all have our issues, and we have things we have to work on. And you know, as an African person, I'm not afraid, or I'm not scared to look at myself and understand and realize what are some of my flaws, whether it is the tone of my voice, the facial expression. Those are cultural nuances that, you know, sometimes can bring a challenge in communication, because communication is very complex. I know that, you know, as an African man, the way I communicate from my cultural background may not always be fit in every context. So, but we learn to understand that by communicating more and more across communities with African Americans, sharing our experiences with them and getting to understand them. And it's about getting to know each other and bringing our differences to the table, sharing our experiences and getting to know each other better. And that's why this platform, I think, is excellent, because at least it gives everybody, it puts everybody at the same level. And we speak our mind, we share our opinion, and whether we have a negative view or a positive view, we have to respect either side, and we have to come into a common ground, and hopefully to help the people who have a negative view maybe come to the positive side.
You know, this continent called Africa has been demonized. It's been demonized for hundreds of years. And we don't understand that it is done for political reasons. It is in people's political agenda to do it on purpose. And the reason they do it is because they know that if we were to unite the African peoples of the world, what we could create out of that would be powerful beyond measure. The Renaissance of Africa is happening now as we speak. We have a very young population in Africa, a very energetic, a population that is increasingly educated. When I speak a lot to African Americans, and I have to say, I was here in school. I was one of those people you talked about. I was here, I came in 1979, and I left in 1986 or 7. And in those days, everybody from Africa was being told, go back to Africa, go and help develop the continent. And yes, there was a bigger contrast than there is today. And the changes that have happened in Africa, I tell you, you really have to come and see it for yourself. For whatever reason, when I look at the media, the same Africa I used to see on CNN when it formed in 1980, whatever it was, is the same imagery that I see today. The wars on the continent, the difficulties, the Samburus, they like to show, those tribal cultures. They never talk about the fact that, for instance, in my country, in Kenya, we are leading in mobile phone technology. We are bringing Google, Microsoft, all these IBMs, all these companies are coming into Kenya now to build up infrastructures in that part of the world. There is so much energy, so much so many new ideas being developed on the continent. And I feel that of all the people in the world who should be coming to help us, who should be coming because it's a part of your soul, a part of your